All right, so welcome back to another video. I'm here with the collegiate softball player. She's going to introduce herself and go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kaya. I played at Coastal Carolina University for the past 3 years. And originally before that, I decided to play at a 2-year junior college, but I just recently graduated in May. And I'm just looking to kind of tell my story about softball.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, you just graduated a few months ago. What was your degree?
Yeah, I graduated with a degree in communications. Communications, you can kind of mold that into whatever I want. I can transform that into a lot of different things. So I feel like that was a great route. It was also something that was a little bit easier for me to study because softball was my main priority, was being an athlete. But obviously the academic side was also important. So I felt like communications was very malleable, easy to maintain and work with. And then I also minored in language and intercultural studies because I just have a love for just learning about different cultures and people around the world and how others live outside of how I was raised.
Okay, that's what's up. All right, so we're gonna get into the softball part. What was your main motivation to like strive to play softball in the collegiate level past high school? We're getting to high school in a sec. We get started for that.
Honestly, I've it's just always been a dream of mine to be a Division 1 athlete since I started. I started and I had a bunch of people telling me that it was something that wasn't I would never be able to accomplish. That was my goals were too high. I needed to look at lower level universities. So getting to the Division 1 level was something I knew I had to accomplish because obviously, when someone tells you can't do something, well, now that motivates me even more to make sure
Hmm.
I'm going to make sure this happens. So once I made it to the junior college level, I knew I was not done there. I knew I got there and I still had to handle business and grind so that I could get my next opportunity to play Division 1.
Okay, so yeah, remind back to like when you originally got into softball, like your first few years, like in T-ball and stuff like that, in high school and stuff like that. So, what got you into softball, and what motivated you to get into softball?
Okay, yeah. Honestly, I grew up watching my dad play slow pitch, and this is kind of where it all started for me. And at that time is when I started playing T-ball and coach pitch, but I also played basketball on the side. And
Hmm.
going to college, I mean, I'm a first generation college graduate, so I knew going to college was what I wanted, and playing a sport was what I needed to help me pay for that. So it got to that point when I was younger and I was like, I want to play at that next level. And I remember having that discussion with my dad, and he was like, well, I'm not paying for both softball and basketball, so you better pick. And so I was growing up every Wednesday watching him playing. So I was like, well, I want to do what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
So now, fast forward about 15 years later, and here I am, a college softball graduate, and I just has followed in his footsteps since then. It all started with him, just watching him play and watching him practice all the time. And so I practiced with him, and there were some highs and lows to that, obviously, but it motivated me and it kept me going. And he really, shined the light to me on the sport, and
Mhm.
it just
Okay, so like you said, you looked up to your dad when it came to like baseball slash softball. Like, were there any athletes you looked up to? You don't have to be in like baseball or anything. But were there any specific athletes you looked up to, or are you just not into watching sports?
Typically growing up when I was younger, I didn't really find myself attracted to many athletes. I grew up watching a lot of college softball, but it was just, for me, I just started watching it. So, I mean, I grew up watching just all the teams playing, and I never really attracted myself to one specific player, but more so just the sport in general and the level that they're playing at. And so that's what always
Mhm.
attracted me. No one in specific. As I've gotten older, I definitely have, found myself attracted to more athletes. Like Naomi Osaka is one of my favorite.
Mm.
I totally love her now. Growing up when I was younger, no, I didn't really attract myself to nobody. But until now I'm supporting other women and other men as well within the athletic world.
Okay, so as a former athlete myself, I've definitely had some setbacks. In regards to you, were there any times you had a setback within the sport? It doesn't even have to be in the sport, like within school. But yeah, have you any like yeah setbacks?
Definitely. I've faced multiple different setbacks within my career, starting with academically. I was never the one, to have the 4.0. So
Mhm.
I struggled academically a little bit. So that was hard for me originally getting recruited, which is why I went the junior college route, because my grades were not technically where they should have been.
Mhm.
Fast forward a little bit to my second year in junior college, the end of my sophomore season, I tore my ACL. So when I transferred into Coastal, I
Mhm.
transferred in with an injury. So at that point, I had a kind of a freak out within myself because I transferred in. Nobody knew my abilities. My coaches never saw me play. They just saw stats and brought me in based on that. And all fall, I couldn't do anything because I just had surgery. So I was on rehab protocol the whole time and had to really grind a lot to make sure I was eligible and healthy to play come season in February. And then, I mean, you just have setbacks when it comes to just meeting different people. When you're a college athlete, being in athletics, it brings people from all around the world together, from just
Mhm.
areas, different states, people raised differently. And I've, had to experience meeting some different people in the world who I just never have met before. I can honestly say that I've never met people like that. Everybody's who they are, but I just personally never met people like that. And it was hard for me originally, to balance that and learning how to agree to disagree with some things.
Mhm.
I've just faced setbacks in all areas, but nothing has held me back enough to make me want to stop.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, as we all know, like about 2 years ago, COVID-19 happened. So I know for sure a lot of athletes had a tough time during that. 'Cause you either couldn't see family or you kind of have to step away from the sport for a little bit. And we all know that was when softball and baseball was getting hot.
Mhm.
So what kept you like motivated and moving? And was there anything specific that kept you pushing through those like about year or so?
Yeah. Honestly, it was just wanting to get back out there and be better. For me, when COVID happened, I just got myself back from rehab and we got into playing all of our fall season and one conference season, and this was our
Mhm.
conference. And we just came in, had a 3-game series against Louisiana, took one game from them. That was huge for our school. And then after that, COVID hit and everything was shut down, and I just got to, starting to show my abilities to my coaches and my teammates and show my impact, to my team. So that's really what motivated me. It was like, I felt like I was just getting started, I
Uh,
was heating up, just getting myself, back into the flow of things and understanding my body after having surgery. So that was my big motivator, was like, I was just getting started and I was going to make sure, the next time I touch the field, oh, I'm going to be ready because it's going to be even better.
okay, for sure. So these next few questions are going to be who you are, who Miss Makiya is. So was there any specific like pregame music you had, or did you have any like playlists that you had before, or even like during if y'all had, I don't know how softball works, so like just before the games?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big music person. I'm always listening to music. So music is everything. I have a playlist for every mood, every scenario. I try to have that there. For pregame, I'm a pump up for pregame. I
Okay.
almost want to go hard. So, I mean, every pregame, I'm listening to Rick Ross Mafia music because that's
Okay.
just what I grew up listening to with my dad, blowing speakers to this song before practices. So that has always been my game day song specifically. That will play minimum of like 3 times minimum. But other than that, I'm from the West Coast, so I love love me some YG, some Dr. Dre, Snoop, all that before a game. That's my comfortable music. I like music that I know all the words to, that I can just really feel like I'm actually created the song and I'm rapping it. So those are the songs for me or the artists where, that it just puts me in the right mood. I like something that's gonna get my blood going, juice is flowing, you're ready to attack.
Okay, for sure. That's something different because the first few interviews I've had, I've heard the first person say gospel, the first
Hmm.
person saying gospel, but another one going off of that, yeah, like you said, you're from the West Coast. You going from the West Coast to the East Coast at Coastal Carolina, was there like any musical differences? 'Cause I know I at least I figured it's big difference. So would you like to go into that for a little bit?
Yeah, of course, definitely. Obviously, you have different musical choices based off artists. When you're on the West Coast, a lot of your music's gonna be a lot of West Coast rappers. I listen to a lot of hip hop and rap. So, you're a lot of people from Cali is what I listen to. A lot of Problem, Dom Kennedy of that such. And then coming to the East Coast, it was a lot of, my brother was never a Kodak fan, but now I started listening to Kodak because that's just what everybody was listening to, Kodak, Lil Baby, some Boozy, all those are such of just more on the East Coast side, down south as well. So yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's actually, I enjoy that because that was some learning that culture of that just being in the same country, but on the other side is just the musical preferences of those type of people, and sometimes they'll hear me listening to stuff and they're like, well, this is not the same. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from the West Coast. And they're like, yeah, I can tell because, it's just a different vibe. Lyrical or different, or the choice of the beat is different. And, I've been able to examine that within just the differences from East Coast and West Coast. And it was actually, something I cherish, being able to indulge in that portion.
Okay, for sure. So, kind of sticking within this, were there any like specific pregame rituals that you had? Like, would you rather like kind of like isolate yourself, or would you want to be around your team before the game, or yeah, any specific things?
Yeah. So, I mean, typical game day. So initially I'm walking in the locker room, we got the speakers blaring, bumping, you don't know what's going on, all types of music being played. Typically it starts out and I'm in and I'm doing hair. Everybody, we're girls. So, and in softball, your hair is everything, whether it's the braids, the color hair ties, the bubbles, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Your color ribbon, all of it. It's huge. How the sport works, so we get in there and I'm just doing hair. I'm braiding hair. People need help on decisions. I'm telling them, look, this is the one today. I'm feeling that. Let's go with this, whatever. So initially it starts doing hair. I'm very social.
Okay.
The closer we start getting in, okay, now my AirPods go in. Now I'm by myself sitting in my locker in my chair, and everybody knows, once I reach that point, talk to me once we start stretching, because until then I'm off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm getting myself in my zone where I need to be. And everybody does that differently. And I get that because I've seen teammates and I have teammates who are the TikTokers, TikTok. That's just not, no, I can't do that before a game. That's not personally me. But if you want to do it, I'm so here for it. But me, no, I like to sit here by myself with my music and get in the zone. So once it got to about 30 minutes before, that's where I went. And then after that, it's game day. Then we start. Then obviously by then, you're with your teammates, you're having fun. Everybody's getting ready together, getting warm.
Okay, for sure. So, when it comes to the gear, everybody's different. Everybody, some people like to wear all of it, the whole 9 yards, and some people don't like to wear anything. So, what type of person were you? Did you like to wear everything, or were you in the middle, or did you not like wearing anything, or just like the jersey and stuff like that?
What do you mean by the gear?
Like, because you know how before the season starts, you might get arm sleeves, undershirts, and stuff like that, or like armbands and stuff like that. Were you that type of person with everything, just a little bit or nothing?
Okay, yeah, I was a slight. I wasn't everything. I wasn't everything also because I was also coming from the West Coast and going to the South. Humidity was a big change for me. So the extra layers was extra hot for me. Some people were used to it. They would wear it all because they're used to it. But for me, that was just too much. I was sweating too much and it was just adding extra baggage that I didn't need. So I was just, some slight couple with the one armband, the required armband, wear that. The one required hat for the game, I would wear that. But other than that, I would keep it very simple and just light because I knew I'm going to be hot. Now, if it was a colder game, then yeah, layers are going on. But once you really start kicking in the season, it wasn't cold. So I would try to keep it to a minimum. And that was just me, just light, not trying to do too much, not too flashy. Wasn't really my style. My style spoke within myself and rather than accessories for me personally.
Yeah, for sure. So, when I first found you on social media, I kind of saw you into fashion a little bit. So, like, what were your favorite shoes to wear? I'd say first go into like your favorite cleats to wear in game, and kind of go out to your favorite shoes, like just to wear outside and stuff like that.
Yeah, in games, favorite cleats.
Because I know you, because y'all be sponsored, so you got to wear a specific brand. So like,
We do. We were sponsored by Under Armour. I think my favorite cleats though were probably Mizuno cleats, honestly. In softball, I mean, it's known like after every season you should probably get a new pair of cleats anyway. So, excuse me, the Mizuno ones, that's why I felt like they were perfect, because by the end of one season you probably need another pair, which was regular, but I liked how they were light. Being
Mhm.
someone who I was a speedster in softball, light cleats were huge for me because I just felt lighter and I felt like I could really just be faster. So I like just having the lighter cleats. When it comes to just everyday, day-to-day life, I'm a sneakers gal. I just love sneakers. I think they're comfortable. I'm a big Forces, Air Forces are my favorite because, I mean, I could dress that up, dress that down. Dress in Forces, done that. Skirt in Forces, done that. Forces, I'll do that. Like I could dress it up, dress it down, depending on how I want to do. I could put some cute little florally socks with the Forces and it's still cute, or I could just wear some regular Nike socks and still rock it. So I think Forces are my go-to, whether they're black or the white ones, because I could do whatever I want with those. And with my style, I like to take slightly sporty things, and if I want to make them a little bit girlier, then I'll do that. But I'm not the typical very girly type of girl, but I have my little things that I would just like to kind of combine the two that make me personally feel comfortable and feel my best.
Okay, for sure. So, during your time at Coastal Carolina, what was like your typical day or typical week in school, and even in season two? What was your typical day/week?
Yeah. So a typical day started with, obviously every day started with class. While I was at Coastal, it was hard to get practices in the morning just because we had a lot of science majors, and just wasn't able for us to get practice in the morning. So everybody's classes were in the morning. So typically in the fall, we would lift at 6 in the morning, and then after that you'd hit class. Yeah, so lifting at 6, you wouldn't even have time to go home and shower. It was like 10-minute shower in the locker room. Now you got to get to class because you got your 8 a.m. So you're there about all day. After class, you typically go get a bite, try to fuel yourself before a heavy practice. Then you'd come in the locker room. You'd have probably, depending on when your class ended, between like an hour and a half to 30 minutes before practice started. So, depending on how much time you had, you would chill, sit in the locker room. We had couches in there. It was very, everybody, anytime you go in the locker room, someone's in their sleep, just lounging. That was our safe area, our comfort area always. You want to talk about something, sleep, whatever it was, you could do it in there because, we were sisters. So everything in there was fine. But so you'd go in there and chill, and then practice. Practice would be about 3 hours. So, you go to practice, hit it hard for those 3 hours. Of course, it was in the middle of the day where it was just hot. So, you was working, sweating, working. And then after that, you just go home, study, eat, and then go to bed. That was a typical day. A week, we would typically lift about 2 to 3 times a week. So in the falls, we would lift at 6 in the morning. And then during season in the spring, we would lift at 2 in the afternoon. So, I mean, both of those have their ups and downs to me because one, you're waking up so early but you don't have to have run during the middle of the day when it's hot. The other one, you get to sleep in, but you're running on the turf when it's the hottest of the day. So, it's picking your poison. But yeah, sometimes, we'd mix in different yoga sessions. So yeah, if you were a freshman, that required study hall. If you were upperclassman, it
Mhm.
didn't, but you weren't required, but academics were important. So if you weren't required to go to study hall, well, you were still expected to maintain, a certain level with your grades. So it was just kind of a balance there.
Okay, for sure. So, yeah, from when you came from JUCO to the D1 school, like, was there any specific difference in travel, like between those schools? 'Cause I've seen when it came to softball and baseball, it was a lot. Like, you maybe get like 1 or 2 days off, and you back on the road traveling. You might be in another state. You might be in 3 states in a matter of like a week. So, was there like a big difference between it?
Oh yeah, there was a huge difference. So in JUCO, you didn't travel. You only traveled out of the state once, and that was in the fall. So it was just like a
Mhm.
big fall tournament. I was in Arizona, and we'd literally just drive up to Vegas, which wasn't that long of a drive. And then coming to the Division 1 level, I mean, that was the traveling was a huge change for me. I was so excited because I knew I was going to travel a lot more. but I didn't realize what it entailed, you know? So traveling at Coastal just consisted of, well, I mean, you have your 3-game series. Obviously, when COVID hit, the three game series got moved to 2 days. So
Mm,
we would show up, play a doubleheader, play a single game, and then would have to leave. But this previous year we went back to 1 game a day. So you would show up typically on a Thursday, leave Sunday
mm,
right after the game. Monday was your off day. And Sunday, when you got back, it wasn't like you got back and had all day. Sunday, you probably got back at like 9 o'clock at night.
mm,
So, and then Monday was your off day. So we'd have Mondays off. And then depending on what day your midweek was, sometimes you had to travel again in the middle of the week. So sometimes that would be on Tuesday. So you have Monday off, but travel Tuesday, go somewhere. Let's say we went to Charlotte, come back that night, Wednesday practice, but then leave again Thursday for a whole weekend. So, I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot to balance traveling, figuring out how to squeeze in my academic time in there. So it was a lot, but yeah, it was a big difference compared to JUCO, where in JUCO it was, you know, you're in state and the farthest you went was 3 hours. But in JUCO, I mean not JUCO, Division 1, we drove to Alabama, Florida. You know, if it's cheaper, they're gonna drive, and you will sit
mm.
on the bus for 9 hours.
Uh,
Deal with it, you know, and you have homework, but you better find someone with a hotspot because the
oh
Wi-Fi is
yeah.
not going to work. You know, so you just have to work with it.
Okay. So this question is kind of into two. So the first one is any words of advice to like any, if you can give any advice to any like incoming freshmen or any even any sophomores or to any high schoolers playing the sport, any words of advice you would give to them?
Yeah, my advice would be to persevere. You know, coming in at a young age, when you're making that transition from high school to the university level, that's a big transition. I didn't fully have to make the transition, but I've been able to witness it with a lot of my teammates, and that's a huge transition because in high school everybody's great,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's batting, you know, great, and they don't scout you. You know, once you get to that university level, no, they're gonna find they have you know video replay and they have scouting. So best believe that that other team knows exactly what you're not good at, and that's all that you will see until you can perfect that you're good at.
Hmm.
You know, so you have to be willing to accept the failure to know that they know your weakness and they're going to set you up. That's part of their strategy and that's the game. So you have to persevere through that, you know, and coming in as a freshman, it's hard to always get that initial start over someone who's a senior. So you have to, you know, you have to really grind and learn from those who are above you and let everything take its course. And when you're given your opportunity, capitalize on it always.
Okay, for sure. So that second half kind of is in regards to yourself. So any if you go back like 10 years, any advice to yourself about 10 years ago or so?
Um, wow. Honestly, I would tell myself to don't settle with yourself. Always bet
Hmm.
on yourself, you know? If you don't believe in yourself, then how do you expect anybody else to believe in
Oh yeah,
yourself?
facts.
You know, so you got to have that within. I wish I had the confidence about myself I have now that I wish I would have had that 10 years ago, you know? So just to
Hmm.
I would have been told that, you know, bet on yourself. You know, put all your chips on yourself, all your eggs in your basket, because at the end of the day, it's only going to help you, make you better. And again, if you don't believe in you, how do you expect anybody else to have that trust and believe in you?
Okay, for sure. So yeah, as you, like since you finished your time at Coastal Carolina, even at JUCO, do you think you achieved what you wanted to achieve as you graduated?
For the most part, yes. Within myself, 100%. You know, I was able to get some accolades to prove the athlete that I was in my JUCO, and be able to come out and make a statement. And that was a huge piece for me. I fell short and did not get the ring that I wanted, but I was able to create relationships that I would cherish and take forever, create a work ethic within myself that doesn't just pertain to softball, but to me in the outside world, you know. So I grew as a person, you know, and that was a big thing for me too, was growing as a person. And when I went to JUCO, you know, things were wild. You're just getting to college, but I was able to grow through that, you know. And then once I got to Coastal, I I did exactly what I wanted to do, honestly. Did I fall short and get the ring I wanted there? No, but I was able to make a better impact on my teammates, the girls who are younger than me. And I came into a university, into a program that was just a little bit messed up, you know, just some bad people had been coming through before, and it just
Mhm.
wasn't a family like atmosphere. And I know that to start that championship mindset and to create that culture within a program, it starts with having a good group of people, you know. And I would feel like I was able to leave that behind, a good group of girls. So you can say that's my sister, because I know for me with my siblings, they're gonna get on your nerves. And it's
Okay.
the same way with athletes, you know, like, yeah, we're teammates, but we're sisters too, because yeah, you're gonna get on my nerves. But when you need to get told you're wrong, I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. When you need the corrections, I'm gonna tell you you need to be held accountable. I got you. Likewise, as I expected the same, and I got that in return, you know. So I was able to just create that culture of girls that I know will continue to be passed down and that won't get broken again.
Okay, for sure. So this will be the last question that you might have been asked this before, but it's gonna make you think for sure. So, where do you see yourself within the next 5 years?
Within the next 5 years, I see myself somewhere coaching. I don't know where
Uh,
that's going to take course yet. I'm working on that now, you know, behind the scenes and trying to get my foot in the door. Um, but definitely keep an eye out, because I will still be on the
yeah,
soft.
for sure,
I will
for
still be on
sure.
the softball field. You know, that's my home, that's my heart, that's everything. That's the one of the few constants I have in my life, and that's the one thing that's been there for me since day one, since I started, and has never left my side. You know, even when I turned my back on softball, it was always there, and I came back and treated me no different. You know, so I have decided, you know, to give back to sport in the way that it gave me so much. You know, so I intend on being a college coach and just starting to get my foot in the door. It's going to be a process, obviously, to get myself to the level that I
Mhm.
want, but I understand that, and I'm willing to work for that, and I believe in myself, and I'm betting on myself, and I know that in the end, I did not achieve my goal of getting the ring as a player, but as a coach, I generally feel like the goal is still the same.
Okay.
Nothing's.
Yeah, I like that. I love that answer for sure. So, I appreciate you taking 20, 25 minutes out your time to sit down and talk and have this little interview.
Thank you.
Um, I'll definitely drop your socials down below because I have you on Instagram. So I'll drop your socials down below. I appreciate you taking your time.
Yes, I appreciate it too. Thank you so much, Miles.
For sure. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.